happy today. I am William Brown from imwilliambrown.com. This is Disconnect to Connect, one word conversations. Now, this is the moment where I tell you about our sponsor, imwilliambrown.com. And I am William Brown. You know what? I'm going to say that like 4 or 5 times. It just lets you know how uncomfortable I am about self promotion, right? And it's like it just shows up right at the beginning. So, I am William Brown is a place where you can be yourself and to live your life. We have conversations and items to help you do that. And one way that I help you be yourself or have an awareness of yourself is through our U cards. And our U cards have 3 sections or 3 areas is I am, you are, and quote card. So I use the cards on a daily to set the intentions for the conversation. And within this conversation, the I am card is I am complete, and the you are card is you are kind, and the quote card for this conversation is be you, do you, for you. So, with my intention being set, I will introduce our word for our conversation, and our word for our conversation is balance. This is a fun word for me because I never really understood what it meant, And it's like so it was just something that people said I needed and I wanted, and in some cases I said I needed and I wanted, but I had no understanding of it. So with that in mind, I am going to bring in my friend, and we are going to have a conversation. Good morning.
Hi there.
This is the moment where I invite my guests to introduce themselves however it feels comfortable.
Okay, I'm going to try to be comfortable talking about myself. Okay. I am Amy Angelilli, Chief Adventure Officer of the Adventure Project.
Wow, that's great. It's like now that's a conversation right there,
Yes.
right? So, Amy, how does the word balance land for you?
So, when I first started thinking about the word, I thought about the obvious way that we talk about balance showing up in our lives with work and life, the whole work life balance.
Hmm.
And because I've been teaching soft skills, or as I call them, essential skills, at a technical college this summer, that has come up a lot. Um, and then I always talk about like peeling back the layer of an onion,
Right.
to get into a deeper conversation about, whatever the topic is. And going beyond work life balance is just the idea of balancing however you are and however you show up and however you want to be at any given moment. For example, during the pandemic, I've been really sad and frustrated and upset, many times.
Hmm.
Um, and that's actually okay because it was balanced with joy and happiness and hope.
Wow. No. Oh, I really got that, and it was um, I felt that the pushback for balance with me many times, what it was more about what was missing than what that I was aware of, you know? And the and so how you in your sharing right there, it let me know that there could be all of these what we call negative things or difficult things and all that,
Mhm.
but within that there's an awareness of the other, of the happiness, of the joy, of the all the other things. And I think sometimes for me, I focus so just because sadness or difficulty was present, that's all I wanted to focus on. That's all I
Yep.
wanted to
Yep.
see. That's all I wanted. And I was missing everything else that was available.
Yes. So
Wow.
so balance lately in the past few months um has meant another word to me.
Hmm.
It's meant bittersweet.
Hmm. Wow. Yeah.
So it's bringing all these events that I do in person with hugs and high fives and the bringing those things online and
Right.
then being happy that they're online so that they can continue to exist
Right.
and sad that they're not showing up in the way in which I feel they'd be much richer.
Right.
So to me, it's bittersweet. Every time I would ask, or another person would ask, "How's everyone feeling?" Bittersweet, and that balance can exist. It's okay to have positive emotions and negative emotions at the same time,
Right.
as long as the negative emotions aren't out of balance, as long as they don't take over.
Right. Being overwhelmed. I think there is, bittersweet. I had a conversation and they were talking about, we were talking about happiness in the call. Aaron Moon. I don't know if you know Aaron. But there's like melancholy, right? There's that level of calmness and just kind of, and it's like sadness and happiness in there. It's like that bittersweet. I totally get it. It's just really, sometimes you have these emotions that you don't have language for, right? And you just kind of
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
just with them, right? Right, and it's like, all right, what we doing now, right? Right, and it's almost, I think, I guess what I'm coming present to, it is more about creating balance. It is like something happens and there needs to be a balance, and we don't know what that other emotion is, but it's kind of like, hey, I know you're sad right now, but I want to want to
and
help you out.
and that's exactly what I was going to address, the helping you out piece.
Right.
don't don't help, right?
Right.
Just allow the person to sit with how they're feeling. And this has been me, especially of late. I just want to feel the wave of sadness, and then I want to feel the wave of happiness, and I don't want them in any way dulled or merged.
Right.
I want to feel both, um, because I feel like that's very authentic to be able to have that balance right now. And I also feel like now more than ever is the time to be able to sit in both of those things simultaneously.
Right. The wonderful thing that I love about your work, and I think, and I said on a conversation, I think the conversation that I had with Aaron, is that it is the key to our society. So hey, so you have marketable skills here, right? And it's an improv, and I think the success of improv, like when I did it, long time ago, and I didn't do it well because there's a certain level of disconnect that I
Excuse
had
me,
in
I'm
my
going to
life.
interrupt you. Are you using a script right now?
I am not using a script right
So you
now,
are
so no
improvising
problem.
very
Right.
well right now, then.
Absolutely. And so this is what I'm coming present to, is that successful improv, or what I labeled as successful improv, was the ability to accept reality, the reality that was
Yes.
giving, right? And I think that's what we're missing right now, is people don't want to accept reality, so then they could add to it, right? Then they could cause something else to happen. But first, you have to have that acceptance. And I think because in my life at that time when I was in theater, there was a lot of things that I just wouldn't accept in my life, right? So it was very hard to show up on a stage and really play and have fun and create because there was a reality that it was like, I'm just not going to do that. And it's like, dude, just,
I'm
we
gonna,
need a
I'm gonna,
grade here, right?
I'm gonna give you a virtual hug
You're right. Well, thank you. I,
because I love what you said. I love the story that you used. And most importantly, I love that you said accept instead of agree. And
Hmm,
there's such a world of difference between those two concepts. And in improv, I've heard so many people say, you have to agree, you have to agree, you have to agree. You do not ever have to agree. You do have to accept. And if we could accept other people's realities as we go through life, we would be so much more empathetic.
right,
And I have been talking about this at this tech school um, because, first off, every time we walk through a doorway, we walk through the door with our day
right,
and whatever experiences we've had that day. Then we also walk through the doorway with our lives
right,
and whatever experiences we've had up to that moment. Now we're also walking through that doorway with a pandemic, an economic downturn, uh, politics, social injustice. And so the students are showing up um, very off balance,
right,
and angry and ready to do battle. And so we literally talked about accepting classmates' realities as they walk through the door. And the mask mandate went in, and I said, wearing the mask to teach sucks. Looking at you as students wearing masks sucks. It is our current reality. Let's talk about what else sucks right now and how
right,
that's impacting how we're all showing up, including me.
right.
And it
Wow.
just, it just diffused the situation. And it's almost another great example of balance because I could have just done the lesson of the day,
Right,
but I also try to read the room to see how everyone's feeling
right,
and how everyone's responding to see the human aspect of what we're doing. And also, I'm teaching ethics and critical thinking. Every time we leave our homes right now, we have to practice critical thinking.
right. Wow. Boy, it's I really appreciate that because within my coaching I take on the language and the label of a business life coach, and how I explain that is that I have business conversations with a listening to your life, and really too often we do. I this is how I live my life, and that's why I've taken this on. We coach ourselves, right? The Something was happening in my house or something happening in my life, and then it
Hmm.
was like, okay, I'm not going to deal with that. I'm just going to go to work, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And you're right, and just act like it just like stopped, right?
Turn off the
Right,
faucet.
and it was like, but when I was at work, I was thinking about what I did or didn't do at the house. And when I was
Hmm.
at the house, I was worried about what I did or didn't do at work. And so
Hmm.
I was nowhere. And so it wasn't surprising that my life like fell apart because I wasn't present to it, you know?
Hmm.
And I think that's what balance is causing more, I have a talk that says, stop looking for balance and be present. But it is
Ooh,
at
yes.
at the time. But I think what I am learning and what I'm getting from this conversation is that balance is presence and presence is balance, right? It's
Mhm.
they're like they can be interchangeable. The more that you're present, then you can get balance in your life. But if you just stop at balance, you'll miss.
Well,
You'll
you talk about work-life balance in terms of, the traditional way, like number of hours at work versus amount of time at home.
right.
What about if it's just in the individual moment?
Mm, right.
Showing up at work and accepting that there are things at home that need time and attention rather than, pushing it away. You're allowing yourself to show up in an imperfect way and accepting them.
Right. Yeah. And I think it's that I had a conversation about imperfect, right? And and perfect came up. Perfect came up too, and it's like perfect is like a concept, but it's not a thing. But we can hold so closely to perfect, which we can't obtain. It's like nobody knows what that is, but and find it really hard to embrace the imperfect, right? In our life, which
Mhm,
all of us are dealing with.
mhm.
The
Now,
more that we get
I'm
that,
gonna challenge you.
okay,
Have you ever been in front of John Bon Jovi? Because
I
that's
that's
perfect. Okay.
I stand corrected. I have never been in front of perfect then.
Now you know.
Now, okay, now I know. Now I look. So if he gets back on the concert scene, I will have to
Do that. I
look
highly.
look for perfect. But so it's like and really trying to. I think we're not. I'm looking at what's coming up. Is it that we're not trying to achieve balance? We just are balanced. We just accept, balance in our life. Is that so? It is not. It's not just going after. It's like there, but our awareness, of it kind of gets out of whack because where are we putting
Yeah.
our focus?
Well, just like with imperfection, we always feel imperfection. We always feel when we're unbalanced.
Right.
Like,
Right.
do you ever wake up in the morning and say, "I feel balanced today"? Right?
Right. It's like don't move, right?
Do you ever wake up in the morning and say, "I feel perfect today"? Or in John Bon Jovi's case, "I look perfect today."
Oh boy. Yeah, no, I think there is in some cases one way that I use the U cards is in the morning and I'll just pick a card and whatever it comes up um, it's kind of a gauge. So if it's like like for the card um, that I pick for the show, it's I am complete. And it's like in that moment, I ask myself, can I embrace that? Am I
Mm,
going to walk in that? And if I say no, then the next question is, why is
why
that?
not? Yeah.
What is currently coming up that you cannot be complete?
Hmm.
And from that question, I can discover how I woke up, right? Right, right? And
And
so,
and what is complete? Does that mean you're imbalanced? What is complete? Is anybody ever complete?
right. Look, I've embraced that we are whole and complete, right? So what that means for me is I have everything that's available to my life.
Mm,
I'm just not aware of it. There's parts
mm,
of it that I'm
mm.
not aware of. And so if I say that I'm complete and I don't have to look for, I'm sorry, I don't have to search for things or kind of
Okay.
look outward and kind of get it. It's like I already have it, but I don't have an awareness of it. And so the more that I embrace that I I am the answer to all of my problems, the more that I am able to look in, do the work, and kind of discover that for myself where that is, so I can show up in a perceived problem or thing that is not working for me. The more that I think at the times that I feel that I am not complete, then I'll look to Amy, or I'll look to my wife, or I'll look to somebody else to complete me, right? Even
Okay.
though it's a great movie line, that's it's not the truth, right? Right? And
So
that's go ahead.
I I look at it as the opposite.
Okay.
And I love what you're saying. What you're saying is 100% right on. And try this on for size.
Okay.
I look at it that we're actually all incomplete. And not that we're looking to be complete, but that we're always discovering and learning and growing.
Right. And that's the balance.
Yes, right?
Right. Right.
So it's
They're
like,
both true. It's and, right?
and yes, yes, yes. And I remember somebody said to me at an improv festival a year or two ago, she said, "Oh, Amy, it's amazing that you continue to take improv workshops given how long you've been improvising." Well, I'm never complete. I never like know everything. There's
Right.
always a different perspective, a different twist, you
Right.
know. Um, so I feel like we're all works in progress and we'll never be complete because it's not necessarily about being complete. It's about like we're like a big stew and we keep adding ingredients.
Right. It's no, that I think that's interesting. I think the one thing that I'm learning, because I use a phrase that kind of gets me going or keeps me in activity or in action, is that I have an actionable awareness of myself.
Mm.
And so it causes me to say, okay, this is who I am, this is how
Mhm.
I'm showing up, but recognizing that there are still parts of myself that I have no idea.
Yeah.
I have no idea, and it doesn't. But what I do know about myself, I'm willing to be in the game. I'm willing to show up and do that. And I think sometimes in my completeness, or my understanding of my completeness, I don't show up as that,
Oh,
because I am
yes.
concerned about, what will Amy think if I show up like, in my completeness, my awareness of my
Well, I'm
completeness.
pretty judgy, so it's a good
You?
question. Me, who's always everybody can improvise. We're all
Right.
improvising.
And it's like, so what is in the improvisation of our life? Okay, I'll just put it like that. Why do you think it's so hard for us to embrace that we are all making it up as we go along?
Because everybody likens improv to being funny. And so I always hear about this is what I hear when the subject first comes up. Oh, I could never do that. I'm not funny. I could never get in front of people like that. I can't think on my feet. I'm not clever.
Right,
I'm not witty. It's all about the things that people think that they are lacking.
right,
And in my improv classes, I remind everybody that there's two stages. One stage is the stage in the theater space, and the other stage is the stage of life. And we all have access to our life stage, we won't all have access to a theater stage.
Mm,
And so, if we can use improv as a tool to show up and be better versions of ourselves,
right,
our showing up on the stage of life is going to be much more rich.
right. Wow. No, I totally get it. I think one of the words, I hadn't think I've used it yet, but, show, you know,
Mm-hmm.
as an actor, former actor, recovering actor, I don't know. I haven't been on anybody's stage. I've just been on the
You've been
stage of
on your
life,
life
right?
stage.
Right. I've been on my life stage hard, right? But there was, my first understanding of it was, I have to be on, I have to be, this, I have to, do all this instead of just being, and so it's like, I don't want my life to be a show. I don't want to, I don't want to, I just want to be, in it. And so it has taken me years of letting that showy theater life, or understanding go and just be in my life.
Hmm.
And it is really really interesting. Yesterday's show was, live or live, right? Right. So because we kind of went back,
Oh yeah,
it was like,
yeah,
oh my god, it's like right before the show, I was like, what, but
yeah.
it the big thing that I got out of that show was, live your life, and go live, right? I mean, it is like the more that we live and go live, it's like there's like that acceptance, that, awareness that this is my life, I'm gonna live it, and I'm live, right? I
Yep.
am, and I am going to go live in it. I am not going to hide, or I'm not going to do, and I think that brings balance to the world, our relationships, to our work, when we show up in it. You
Yes.
know?
And talking about the two stages,
Right.
if you're not showing up in your life, you cannot show up on the improv stage in a theater,
Right. And I
right?
think that's why, yeah.
We need to be out having experiences so that we can bring those experiences onto the improv stage.
Right. And I think that's why a lot of people, um, enjoy theater, as an audience member, you know, versus a participant. Most of the here are the, I don't know. I want to say, at the time, I felt this was a backhanded compliment, right? It was, I would do what I did on the show, and, in a show or on the stage, and people would come up to me. It's like, oh, that was great. I could never do that. You're just out there, and it's like, you're just, it's like you're just, and it just felt like I was just a little bit better than them. That's it. It's like,
Mhm.
if they got a little bit more courage, they would like outshine me, right?
Yeah,
But it was just like, do you know how many hours I put in this thing, or, do you know what I had to, you know, the places, because I have method acting training, so it's just like, that was like psychological warfare at times, right?
Oh, I bet,
You,
I
you,
bet, I bet.
so it
Well,
was, so it,
you made it look so natural.
right, so, but it is that type of thing, or, or I really felt that there was a part of my life that I was denying and just kind of hiding in roles. And I think when it came to improv, there was no hiding. It was coming from me, and it was like, oh crap,
100%.
I'm not living my life, so I can't do improv, right? I'm not showing up in my life, so I can't do this. And that realization of that caused me to kind of, you know, back away, right?
Back away from
Because,
improv?
yeah, back, I was scared to death. I mean, I mentioned before the show that, 5 years ago when we met,
Hmm.
I did an improv with you, and that was, I was like, oh, I know improv, and so it was fun and stuff that I was like, okay, let's try to do this. But there were so many things happening and not happening in my life at that time. I needed improv. I needed to laugh. I needed to just be present to the things. So that's why you have been such a connection, to me, even just from that one class. But it was like that seed of, okay, get in your life, right?
Get
Have
out of your
fun,
head,
right? Get
right?
out of
And
your
get into your
get
life. Yeah. Hmm.
right.
Yeah.
And so it was fun. There was laughter. There was craziness, but it was life.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a little bit raw, and it's a little bit therapeutic.
yes.
And my students at the tech school, uh they call my classes therapy. And
Wow.
they're always asking, "So did you study psychology? What's all this improv about?" You know?
Right.
And improv, when you really open yourself up to it, allows you to show up in a much different way. And then when you are showing up in that different way, it invites other people to show up
Right.
in a
Right.
different way. It's like an alternate reality, and it's an alternate reality without all like the crazy stuff that we do on the theater side, just
Right.
as a tool for showing up.
Right. No, I love that invitation in improv. You know, it is, this is what I'm up to. This is what I'm doing. Join me, right?
Uh-huh.
And it's
Mhm.
like, all right,
We're gonna
right?
we're gonna take this journey together because it would be off balance if
Right.
we didn't. If it was
Right.
only me and not us, it would be off balance.
Right. Right. And I think that's, even though I have a conversation about being yourself and living your life, right? And a lot of people are like, what does that mean? What do you mean by that? Um, it is, I think it is so that we can be available to the world,
Yeah.
to each other.
Yes.
And I think the more that I know myself,
Mhm.
the more that I live my life, the more that I can be available to people, right?
Mhm.
To the world.
Yeah.
And I think too often there is this, what I call, an immature self conversation, that is me, mine, and all this other kind of craziness, and it feels icky, and it's selfish, and all that other kind of stuff, and it's not for others. It is to make the people feel you know complete or valid, or all that kind of stuff, all the things that they feel that are missing in their life. They try to like overcompensate, and it turns into this selfish,
Yep.
nasty type of thing. The more that there is a knowing of self, a true knowing and appreciation of self, the more that you can't keep it to yourself. You
Yeah. Yeah.
want
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
share,
Yeah. Yeah.
because it's available, and that's the balance. That's why I believe suffering is diminished, because we are showing up.
Mhm.
You know.
Someone asked me once if I wasn't doing what I was doing, improv, applied improv, what would I be doing? Um, and I said, well, I have no idea, and um, I can't imagine not doing this
Wow.
because
Wow.
it's not what I do, it's who I am.
Great. Got it.
Um, and a couple months ago, when things started shutting down, I was almost, not to sound melodramatic, but I was almost having like an existential crisis
Right.
because I was like, well, how can I be like? There's no improv. There's no travel. There's like I can't see Bon Jovi. The
Right,
World
right,
Cup been canceled this
right,
year.
right, right.
and then Gary Ware, who you know,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Not my improv partner in play on the West Coast. He and I started putting play shops online, and we would be facilitating improv experiences and facilitating laughter yoga experiences because I kept saying like we have to hold space for people. We have to hold space for people. So that was like where I was coming from. Like we got to hold space. So we were holding the space, and then 3 months in, I said, "Oh my God, Gary, I'm exhausted."
Right. Wow.
I'm like, I haven't held any space for myself. So
Right.
like process the fact that all these things I love, especially the improv, which is part of my daily existence, is not available. And although, you know, he and I have been pivoting to the online platform, um, I felt out of balance
Mm,
because the time, the ridiculous amount of time spent on Zoom
mm,
versus no time spent in person
right.
felt uh, very, very out of balance to
Mm,
me. And there's a, I don't know if you've seen the Netflix special. There's a Netflix long form improv special on now, Middleditch and Schwartz.
no,
And
I haven't.
Schwartz, did you ever watch Parks and Rec?
Yes. Yes. What's crazy? It's like my.
Well,
So all right.
that's
Good.
one of my happy places. So
Right.
Schwartz is from that show. But watching one of the episodes last night, um, not only was it fabulous and amazing, and they're super talented, um, but I realized that I miss doing long form improv on a stage so much, and not to be in front of an audience, but to be in the moving meditation,
Right.
that space, which is to me is improv.
Right. No, I totally get it. And it's like we are in this moment of, I guess, reimagining our balance. You know,
Yep.
how we look at what brings us joy and how we experience things. And it's like it is painful and it's difficult because there was almost, I have this mentality, I say that I have you know, um, an inappropriate or an uncomfortable relationship with consistency, right?
Can
But
I
you
use
know,
that?
right? Yeah, you can have it, right? you know, but it is, it's almost this set it and forget it. It's like, okay, I got it. I don't have to think about it anymore, and let's just kind of go. And our life has been taken off that set it and forget it type of thing, and now we have to like figure out. It's like, okay, let's try Zoom. Let's try, doing walks. Let's do something. There is this thing to find that balance, to have that balance that we've created in this, in the, I guess, in the normal life that we have or whatever. Sometimes I don't know what that means. Sometimes, but it is more that, and we'll figure it out. We will be able to figure it out first for ourselves
Mm-hmm.
and then and then how we gather. And I
Mm-hmm.
think sometimes the conversation around masks, wearing a mask and not wearing a mask, and being told to wear a mask and being encouraged to wear a mask, it's more about how I'm responding to this new request. And it's not that I'm an asshole because I haven't put on a mask yet, right? Or something. But I have. Don't
Yeah.
no one likes me. I do. I wear. I'm good. But it is, or blaming the people that do. It is just until I believe they're doing what they currently believe. They believe that that mask is not going to make a difference, or they believe that I'm not going to let anybody tell me to wear a mask, or all that other kind of stuff that's going on with them until they figure it out for themselves, have that
Themselves.
selves,
Yes.
then they can how they respond to other people. And I
Hmm.
and I think that is the balance, or that's the moment that we're in right now, of
Hmm.
really looking at what we believe and how we're going to show up for ourselves and others.
Hmm. Hmm.
And the more that we create that balance, and the more that we understand and appreciate it, because before it was just automatic. It's
Yes.
like, this is what we did, right? I don't know why, but this is what I do, right?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And now it's like, okay, what do you believe? What do you mean? What do I believe? And it's just like now this very
Well,
defensive
like I
type of
said
thing.
a few minutes ago with this class, critical thinking and ethics that I'm teaching, every time we walk out of our door, we are forced into critical thinking
Right,
because of exactly what you said. Things are not automatic anymore,
right,
right? It's like, do I have my mask? Am I going to wear it? Do I
right,
have my sanitizer? Do I believe I need my hand sanitizer? All these things.
right,
And then, you might show up at a place where masks are required. And so you might put the mask on. But then when you're forced to make the decision for yourself, what decision do you make?
right,
When you show up at a place where it's not mandatory, what kind of decision making process are you going through?
right. And so, yeah, I believe that we can talk about this for hours,
Ever.
forever, because there's always this balance and imbalance that is happening in our life, and
Do you
that
practice traditional yoga?
I do not. That is something that I started. It's like stops and starts, right? And
Hmm.
it's like, but it's something that I do want to have a practice in. I have a wonderful yoga mat, right?
You have a wonderful yoga mat.
That has been rolled up,
Well,
and
it's
every once in a while it's unrolled, right? But
well, we practice the balancing exercises, the bouncing poses in yoga, and it's meant more to me lately because I have had an issue with my foot for many months, and I had to get off the mat, and I was in a walking boot, and I've just started to return to yoga, and I've started to feel in balance again just by being able to be back in the space. Even if my tree pose is a little wobbly due to lack of practice, but
right,
being able to show up in the space to feel good
right,
mentally and physically. And so my hope for myself is that I can also show up in the improv space in person to start to feel good and have that balance, because then I'm better able to hold space for others.
right.
And that's
Wow.
like where we are in the world right now. And it ties into balance so well, because like you said, when we are feeling out of balance, it's hard then to be in a position to reach out to others in
Right.
a meaningful way.
Right. Well, no, I really appreciate this conversation, and you and your work, that you're doing, and thank you. You have
Thank
brought
you.
some balance to my day. Now it's up to me to kind of stay within that,
Dust
or
off
we'll
the
figure it.
mat.
Right, right, right.
Just do a tree pose for me today. See how your balance is.
Absolutely, I promise, and I am even, sometimes if it doesn't show up on social media, it didn't happen, right? So I'll
That's
have to have
right.
my
That's
wife.
right.
I
That's
have
right.
to have my wife take a picture and say I did it, right? Type of thing. All
Right.
right, but but
Our
thank
new our new if a tree falls in the forest and no one hears it, did it happen?
right.
If something happened and it didn't show up on Facebook, did it happen?
Right. So it's like, so yeah, so I'll make sure it will happen. So well, thank you very much, Amy. Um, we will say our goodbyes from the green room if you're able to stay. But I really enjoyed this conversation.
I'm gonna just um, pop my website in there if you want to
Okay,
let people know how to find me in case they want to chat with
absolutely.
me about tree poses, balance, improv.
All those things, right? That so no, so that is definitely something that I will put. There's like a lot of moving parts over here, um, and I
You can
will.
balance them. You got
I know I'm trying. It's like I had this conversation, so I'm good. It'll work.
it.
Hey, there we go, and then it magically appears. So it's on the screen there, and so they can just go to your website and they'll learn what you're up to and what's going on. This has definitely been great, and we can put it in the comments too, so people can
Thank
have.
you.
All right, wonderful. Thank you, Amy. Okay. Wow. Yeah. It's I really enjoy these conversations because within them, when you really have a conversation, um, there is discovery within it, and most of the times it is being present within it, and too often in my life, balance was just the physical thing. It is, do I have some physical balance? How do I feel, and getting that together? What are Do I equally show up for different things that are happening in my life? If it's my work life, my home life, my personal life, or whatever, whatever life that I have. But the more that I have one life, my life, the more that I see that, and that I desire to bring balance to that one life, the more that I can be available for myself, within my work, in my relationships, and for others. I hope that this conversation brought value to you. I would love to hear in the comments. But I would love for you to invite you to have conversations like this. Just go to I Am William Brown, schedule a complimentary coaching session, and we'll see if balance or any other thing that is showing up or not showing up in your life. Because the world wants you, the world needs you, and the world is waiting for you. So go be you. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you tomorrow.